Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 17 of The Great Pretender. And so the last two episodes have been a little bit darker than usual. The tone in the last episode was very sobering, where Makoto was trying to free these kids that were being trafficked by this Japanese mafia association that he's gotten himself involved in through Laurent, through Cynthia and the others, and it just didn't work out. It was just like, you expect everything was going so well, and then things just fell apart, and Makoto just... he couldn't leave. He couldn't just leave with Abby, take the money and run. And he's tied to these kids now, and Laurent knows it. And so it's going to be interesting to see where we go to from here, because we were supposed to spring Abby out, take the $1,000,000,000 and run, but Abby's still there, Makoto's still there, the con is still going, and the longer it goes, I fear the more they're going to get invested in it, and the more dangerous and the more tricky it's going to get. And Laurent, I think, knows that, but what do we do? Because Makoto is bound and determined to save those kids, even if they don't want to save themselves. So we've got Clark involved. It's just, there's a lot going on, and I'm so curious at this point to see how in the world we're going to handle it. So I don't know what we're going to do, y'all. So that's the big question, right? That's the big question of what are we going to do now? So I'm really excited, y'all, to see what's going to happen. I hope you all are too. But before we start, I want to give a quick shout out to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon. These fellow patrons, they not only support me every month with what I do, but they also help me to pay for things like my streaming services, for any anime and manga that I have to buy to do reactions for, or that I buy to support the official release, and also support me just in general with making this content that I like and being able to edit and get these things out on time. It takes a lot of effort, and y'all give me so much support, and I am beyond grateful. So I obviously want to thank all patrons, whether it's the $1 tier, $5 tier, like those are so incredible, and y'all don't have to give your money to me, but you do, and I'm very, very appreciative. So thank you so much. But a special shout out to these patrons in the philanthropy tier for going the extra mile, because they don't have to, they're just that awesome. So, thank you very much to Edgar, to Truck, to Dana, to Anime Annie, to Tyrone, to Kenny, to Nameless Monster, to Shimoyama, to Arjo, to Be Happy, and Translucent Men. You all are amazing, and I'm very, very grateful for all of your support in everything that you do. So, all of my love. Thank you so much. But yeah, I couldn't wait. I was so excited. I was like, what am I going to watch? And I was like, I need to watch the next episode of Great Pretender, because we just have to see what's going to happen, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're not going to waste any more time, y'all. We are going to dive right in. I hope you all are excited, because I definitely am as well. We are going to start episode 17 of The Great Pretender, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. You know what I hate? I am leaving for a trip in like 3 days, and I won't have time to watch the next episode, and I want to so badly, because oh my gosh! That just, I'm hooked now on this case. No, there's more. I had to bring Whiteboard Kun out, because I was like, there's more to this case than meets the eye. I was like, this original con, the Wizard of the Far East. Oh my gosh. How? Just how? I'm just, you know? So, Makoto is like, seeing Makoto being drugged down to this awful place is just, it's really hard to watch. Seeing him smoke is really hard to watch. And I feel like Abby is kind of being like, you need to cut that out. Like, I was really on board with Abby this set of episodes, where she was like, you need to stop smoking. Like, good for Abby saying that. I was like, girl, yes, because oh my gosh. What the heck, y'all? Oh my gosh. I was just floored, right? Just floored. So we break this down just a wee bit. So we have Makoto and the idea that his mom teaching Chinese to him, and the idea of like getting him to where he would learn like multiple languages, right? And all of that. And so I like that the dad still has the wedding ring on, right? So even after all of this, we're going to the Wizard of Oz. Oh my gosh. So Oz. Oh my gosh, Makoto. It was right there in front of us the whole time. I was like, his last name's different. And, you thought it was maybe like because the mom didn't take the last name or whatever, or he kept the name for like as an alias so he couldn't drag his wife into the whole deal. Like you figured that was the case. But then you realize it's Oz. You could make Oz out of it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, and then we have a Dorothy in there. Oh my gosh. Like it's all. So if we have a Dorothy in there, that means that there's probably like some connection maybe to this. And maybe that's one of the reasons why Laurent is wanting to get in on this. But yeah, I set my heart to learning. And so again, we have the whole thing with the cats. We have the symbolism with the cats and the idea that this show likes to put the three cats together as a family. And Makoto's always been kind of like a grump from an early age, right? I'm going to be taking screenshots as I go through this, but he's been like a grump from an early age. Like this little kid being like, I don't want to learn this. It's boring. And then she's like, well, your dad's coming home, so you might want to see him. And she's like, yes, he'll be working in Japan again. So there's the idea that he had been working with this human trafficking organization, with the mafia, and had been in between China and Japan, and probably other countries as well, but had came back there and was an interpreter. So I'm sure he's told his wife about the importance of being bilingual and knowing multiple languages. So that's why she's teaching Makoto. So it's just kind of like a big setup, right? That she was teaching him things, and it was inadvertently setting him up to be very similar to his dad. But I don't think his dad, here's the thing, I don't think his dad wanted Makoto to end up like him. I don't think so at all. I think that at the time when he was younger, he wanted Makoto to live a better life, right? I feel like that had always been his intent. It reminds me a lot of Salazar and his son. Like Salazar didn't want his son to go and end up the same way he was. So I feel like a lot like Salazar and his kid, that was Makoto's dad and him back when they were children. And obviously now that Makoto's an adult and can make his own decisions, it's a little bit different, right? But we go back. I was wondering why we were recapping all of this stuff from the beginning of the season. I was like, why are we recapping everything with his dad? And it was almost beat for beat, except there's like little additional layers that have been added since then. And I was like, why are we doing that? And then the moment he shows up in the parking garage, I'm like, oh my God, that's why. Because he's his dad and he showed up and he's the interpreter for the Chinese mafia. It's like, oh my God, right? And then we see him saying like, was I super cool while I was working? And then they repeat the same thing, be a respectable person. And he says, what's more important than studying is morals. And so he says that the most important thing is morals, whereas the mom says later, it's forgiveness. And that's so hard because it's like Makoto forgives his dad in that moment and decides to like help him get out, and then the dad turns on him. I'm like, oh my God. That was just such a heel turn. I was like, oh no. Because he's just like, he makes the turn and being like, this is my means of survival. Like he's just as much of a con as Makoto. And better because he's had multiple years to be able to work the field. But oh my God, I was floored by this episode. I was like, I did not see it coming. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Oh my gosh, y'all. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I have to wait so long now to see episode 18. I hate it. But yeah, they find that he was suspected of trafficking minors, members of an organized crime group. And then, yeah, Seiji Ozaki. Yeah, Ozaki is Oz. Oh my God. Yep. And then that was him in the back. Yeah, the lawyer. And, it just like, he's the Oz of the Wizard of the East. Oh my gosh. And then we get the whole thing with his mom fainting when she finds out. Wizard of the Far East. Oh my God. And so then he goes to like the capsule thing to try to get the angel for his mom, and he ends up getting the wizard instead, right? And she says, well, maybe it'll help. She says, maybe I'll use his magic to cure me, and while he's at it, you clear your father of the misunderstanding. Like, she was forgiving of him up until the end, like with all the cat toys and everything around her. She just wanted him to live a better life. And Makoto is so unforgiving. He's like, he served his sentence and was released. Why didn't he come here? And we find out later he did try to go there and see her, or at least that's what he says, but he was too ashamed. So in the end, he was too ashamed to face his wife. But he keeps the wedding ring on, right? And I feel like if he at least wasn't as sincere, he wouldn't have kept the wedding ring, right? But again, that's like Laurent keeping the ring for Dorothy. You know, you feel guilty and ashamed. So something bad has happened to Dorothy, and Laurent feels like it's his fault. That's what it seems like, right? Something's happened to Dorothy. So we have Laurent, and we have Dorothy. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy is sent by Oz on a quest to get rid of the Wicked Witch, and she's pretty much used by Oz. So there's the sense that she's maybe was used by the mafia, or she's really pretty. She could have been a target, right? She could have been a target or a victim of them, right? And I'm assuming that maybe Laurent fell in love. But he keeps the ring, right? The question is, if something did happen to Dorothy and it was the responsibility of the Chinese or Japanese mafia, then Laurent would have a reason for revenge and a reason for this con to be a whole thing, right? So there may be... Laurent may have personal ties with Oz that he's trying to take care of, and Makoto clearly has personal ties with Oz. So what do we do with that, right? But the thing about it is that Laurent is the type of person that he plays things very close to the vest privately, like his personal emotions, everything. Like he schmoozes with women and everything, and he clearly likes Makoto, but he's pretty private when it comes to himself. He doesn't reveal a lot about himself, unlike Cynthia and the others have done. So, or at least because of the cases, but so there's clearly stuff there about Laurent we don't know, right? But she says, do you know what's more important than morals? And she says, to have a forgiving heart. Because at this point, she's like, I'm happy now. She's like, she's ill. And she's like, what good is for me to hold a grudge at this point? I need to just be happy and be forgiving and be able to move on. And God, it's so sad what they add that's extra in this, where she's like, what more can I ask for? And when she's like dying and Makoto's like running to see her in the room and she's passed, like he doesn't get there in time, and there's all the capsules for her, like all of them, the wizard and everything. Like that part was so damn sad. I was like, you had to bring that up again, show. You had to bring that up again, didn't you? And then we're back to him checking in on Abby. Now, something I don't like at all is Makoto picking up the smoking habit. Makoto smoking is almost like he's hit a wall, right? He's hit a wall, and he feels the need to stay until the job is done. And I wonder if Laurent has ties with Oz, that's kind of why he's in the con game. He's like, I'm keeping going. I'm staying in the game. I'm stuck in the game. I can't leave until this whole business is ended. But I hated seeing Makoto smoking. I hate him seeing like that because he's just destroying himself. I'm like, stop. And Abigail kind of thinks the same thing too. Abby's like, stop it. Like, I don't like you smoking in here. What are you doing? Because he says he's fitting in. And she thinks she knows that something's wrong. And he says, don't worry. And she's just like, because they just keep going at it. But then they talk about this whole thing with the Chinese the Shanghai organization. So they established that basically it's a Chinese mafia. They were the subordinate organization. They taught them the tricks of the trade. And then this guy, Liu, got good enough. There's Liu and Chin. They got good enough in this dummy trading company that they have to make their own company and branch out without permission. And she's like, I hate it because we gave them everything and now they've taken it and ran with it. And so he thinks the one supervisor guy that's over Makoto thinks that they're on the verge of war. And then the moment I saw that guy with the long hair, I was like, oh my God, that is the translator. That's the dad. And of course they give the coffee with the cat. And the civet cat coffee beans. And Makoto instantly recognizes his dad. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Just, oh. And of course, Makoto feels like this is all a big setup because Laurent sent him up to work with the Scarlet Company. So Makoto wonders if Laurent knew that his dad was involved. And if that's the whole reason he got him involved to begin with, right? If this is all tracing back to the very beginning, the whole reason he got Makoto involved was because he learned who he was and who his father was, right? That he only got Makoto involved because of his family. But Abby brings up a good point. He's like, this is all Laurent's fault. Like, he got me involved with him. My dad's a loser. Why would I ever want to get involved with him? But Abby brings up a good point. Abby is like, well, right now you're smoking and kind of being in the same position he was. So are you really in a place to judge? You're doing the same thing he was doing. And and it almost is like Abby brings up the point, like, how do you not know that he didn't start out like you were trying to rescue like a group of kids and it just got out of hand and you got stuck there kind of like you are now, and then you just gave up and kept with the system. She's like, how do you know? And then she also brings up the point of saying, what were you before Laurent? What were you before? She's like, you were a con man before Laurent ever found you. She's like, yeah, Laurent may be using you because he has ties with your dad and maybe wants revenge on him. We don't know that yet. But Abby's like, you can't pin this all on your dad and you can't pin it all on Laurent. You kind of made these choices too. So, I mean, I like that Abby kind of points these things out without saying them. She's like, yeah, no, this is not just one person's fault. But man, the tension in this episode, the tension of his dad being there, of Makoto having to like sit by and watch his dad do the same thing that he's doing. Oh my gosh, y'all. And then just the fact that the woman gets mad. There wasn't a whole lot of interpretation going on at this point because he had his own interpreter and she was just interpreting what they said. But I mean, like, at one point, Chin gets so mad and threatens her that there's really no need for an interpreter at that point. It's pretty clear what he's saying. but it was just mainly in this episode for them to meet. But oh my god. And then they like threaten each other, and basically he says Shanghai fellow, the VIPs of the world do business with the Tokyo Suzaku Association because they trust our name. And she calls him a country bumpkin. Yeah, and he's like, I have no idea what you're saying. Oh my god, it's just ugh. So then Makoto, he says, isn't this exciting? As they're in the parking lot. And that's when he realizes, he's like, Mr. Ishigami. He says, that guy, the interpreter, who is he? He says, oh, the interpreter. He says he's a pretty old guy who goes by the name of Oz. And again, that ties to the wizard, right? The wizard toy, the capsule toy that was the wizard, which is kind of hilarious that it's tied to the Wizard of Oz. Should have seen it coming. He was originally Japanese. And if I remember correctly, we have Fuji prison. He was a lawyer who was worked as a human trafficking broker. But he screwed up and got caught. He kept silent while serving his time and got picked up by the Shanghai bunch to be a lawyer and interpreter. That's why they wanted to... Who knows why they wanted him. And then Makoto realizes that if Laurent knew all of this, and got Makoto involved, then he probably knew that they were working with the Shanghai group, did his research, and knew that Makoto at some point was going to encounter his dad. And that's why he's mad about it. And so he goes off to go find him. And I like that meanwhile, like Laurent's just gallivanting around Japan trying to hit on women. Just be like, hey ladies. And I like that the girls are like, oh, he's kind of forceful. This is kind of refreshing. You know, he's just telling us what to do. Like, you know, falling for Junichi Suabe's charm, as you do. And then that's when Makoto shows up and just waylays him. Like, doesn't punch him, just clotheslines him. Clotheslines him to the ground. Right? Getting him involved. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, never mind. This guy's crazy. Let's go. He's like, what did you do that for? He's like, don't play dumb. Oh, he's like, about Oz. Uh-huh. And I feel like Laurent's like, oh, who? Like, the question is, like, how much older is Laurent than Makoto? We don't know, do we? I'm sure we'll find that out. They're like 10 years apart, right? Probably. And he's like, I never wanted to see him again, but I ran into him here. And he's like, oh, chill out. He's like, cut the crap. He's not my father. He has nothing to me. And I like that Laurent's like, so if he's nothing to you, why are you worked up? If he's nothing to you and he doesn't mean anything at all, then why do you care? But he knew bringing Makoto into this that he was related to Oz. He knew that going in. So why do it? What's the point, right? And what's he been doing running around Japan? I refuse to believe that Laurent's been doing nothing, right? I refuse to believe he's been doing absolutely nothing. And then he just storms off. And he's like, hey, we're on for 3. And he just keeps going. Now, the question is, what is Laurent doing now? Where is he? Where is Kim and Laurent? Where are they? They are somewhere. Where are they? I'm hoping that they rescue Makoto and the others. It would be pretty badass if like Clark zoomed in on a helicopter and like shot at him and made them all leave. That'd be great. That'd be great if he like jumped in on a helicopter to scare them all away. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I'm hoping that Laurent saves all of them and the children from the end of this. Oh my gosh. I just can't believe Oz sold them out. I mean, I can believe it, but I'm just, I was so hopeful. Makoto was being forgiving. He was doing everything right. Our Bean's been trying his best. And what happens? Oh my gosh. I was so, yeah, of course, right? Yeah, get a picture of Laurent doing his little winky face. Laurent hiding behind that face, right? And so then Abby tells him not to smoke in there. And the thing that gets me is he's like, okay, fine, I'll leave. Because she tells him not to, she says, don't smoke in here. He says, I'll see you tonight at 3 then, fine. Like Abby doesn't like the state that Makoto's in right now. And she says, hey. She's like, maybe he wants to be saved. And that's the thing too. Abby kind of like, she brings up the dad. She's like, your dad, maybe he wants to be saved in all this. And maybe he joined the mafia out of necessity and ended up where he is now. Kind of like where Makoto is, right? She's like, maybe he's in a similar circumstance as you. And he's like, it didn't look that way. And she's like, well, then what about you? You're just like him. Don't make an exception for yourself. She's like, don't try to be a hypocrite and say you're not a scumbag loser, because right now you kind of are. You're sitting there smoking, not doing a dang thing. Yeah, I like that he's like, I'm not a scumbag loser. And she's like, oh, really? Then what were you before? What were you before you met us? Like you were doing the same thing. You were conning people the same way. Have you ever thought about why Laurent sent you here? Like, what was the purpose? She's like, I guess it's your decision. Do what you please. Yeah, so there's a reason that Abby's like, look, I don't like Laurent. He can be an ass sometimes, but there's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why Laurent brought you into this. Why do you think that is? And Abby's like, because the Makoto I know does try to save people and does try to do the right thing. and tries to be like the person that wants to be the moral person in the end. She's like, you're kind of falling away from that. And that's what's so frustrating, is like Makoto is falling away from that moral person he was at the beginning. Like, he still wants to save the kids, which is great, but the way that he's doing it, like he put those kids at gunpoint to make them get into the bus to go, it's like Makoto's slowly losing himself. And I mean, Laurent brought him into the con, which is making him lose himself, but Abby's like, look, you got to see like a bigger picture here. And it's just so frustrating, because it's like, I don't like the idea of Makoto changing for the worse and not being who he's always been. And I don't know what to do with that. So I want to see what ends up happening. Like, what is the deal? And we see like the dad, like at the sushi bar without the ladies. Like, he doesn't try to get with the ladies, right? He still has the wedding ring on. And then he goes in his hotel room and Makoto gets him in there. And the reunion between them, like, you get the impression that Oz knew who he was. Like, he realized that was his kid. Like, he realized that it was his kid. And he's probably, like, frustrated with himself that he's brought his kid into this as well. Or we think so, but we don't know, because he sells him out. Oh, my gosh. He's like, your mom believed in you until the end. And they said he just couldn't face her. And they just hired him to do that. He's like, you abandoned my mom and myself. And he's like, I was a coward. It's shocking. And then Makoto sees the wedding ring, right? He's like, I don't care about anything anymore. And so that's the thing. That is the thing, that at the end of the day, he doesn't care about anything. He knows that his son is mad at him and that he can't make anything up. And he thinks there's no chance for forgiveness. So to him, it's just surviving now, right? And Makoto offers him a way out. He's like, we'll take the kids and go. Like, we'll go abroad with the kids and you can start fresh. And he says, Makoto, he's like, this is my fault. Please forgive me. And he does. And then he betrays him. It's like, damn it. Ugh. So frustrating. And now I'm like, how are they getting out? What's happening? And he's like, I have to get them out, and threatening them is the only way. So yeah, like Cynthia comes and gets them and everything. And then the kids like buckling themselves in, like getting them strapped into the van. Like, what? It's like such a, like, despite the circumstances, this kind of sweet moment. And I'm just so floored that the dad sold them out. I can't believe it. And he said that we should get off the highway. Like, he lured them into that. Lured them into it. He lured them, as soon as they got off that exit ramp, he lured them into getting trapped by the others. And Cynthia, I'm amazed Cynthia maintains her cool through all this. Like, she's like, hey, wake up. There's trouble. They're coming to get us. It's them. Like, and she's like, should we fight our way out? And she's like, no, there are kids. We can't do that. Like, oh my God. And then that one guy when he stands in front of the bus, in front of the headlights, and is like, come on out. Oh, I'm terrified now. I'm like, how are they getting out of this shit? Oh my gosh, y'all. And the one guy's like, we went all the way to Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia to get them. Like, they traveled a long way to get those kids, and Makoto hadn't done anything. He's like, I wasn't about to let you have them all to yourself, Edamura. Chairman Akemi was fond of you. She might just cry from the shock. So she doesn't know about this yet. Okay, so she doesn't know what's gone down. So there, and this is the Japanese mafia, not the Chinese mafia. So there's a chance that they could get out of this because she doesn't know what's gone down yet. Okay. But then, God, he goes over there and says, thanks for the info. He says, Shanghai and Tokyo need to keep working together. So it's almost like they're planning this whole thing. Like, around Akemi, the woman, or behind her back and everything, keeping the groups together. Because, yeah, the one guy was worried about the war breaking out, but they're using Makoto's dad as a means to keep that from happening by those two being in cahoots. What the hell? Oh my God. And Makoto just getting so mad. I couldn't agree more. Oh, Makoto, honey. And he's like, that man, he lied. But did he lie? I mean, it's just like, at this point, what is the con? What is the truth? Like, do I think that Oz really did love Makoto's mom? Yes. Do I think he was ashamed for her to see him how he really was and he couldn't see her? Yes. But does that make him like a great person? Probably not. He probably is just as bad as he's always been, but he did love her. And that could be the same thing with Laurent. Laurent's like, I'm a terrible person, but I loved her. Like, oh my God. And then Makoto just getting so furious because he was betrayed. Oh my God. That look. Oof. And then him running at him. And then Abby and Cynthia are like, please don't. And he puts the gun to his head. Oof. That moment, he's like, didn't I tell you, Makoto? And Makoto crying is like, I'm Oz of Shanghai, Long Hu Bong. Yep. That's my true identity. Oh, that's so, oh my God. And poor Makoto like tearing up. No. And then we have the end of the episode. Oh my God. So yeah, he's an interpreter. He's a lawyer. Yeah, he's all of the above. Oh my God. I have no clue how they're getting out of this, how the kids are getting out of this, where Laurent is, where the other woman is, where Clark is, like where are they? How are they getting out of this? What's going to happen? Are they going to get taken back to the mafia woman? Is she going to kill him? Like what? I don't think they're going to die, but then how do they get out of it? How? And then, or here's the thing. Okay. We could be acting like Makoto at this point where we think that Oz is like working against them and betraying them. But what if he's not? What if he's about to betray the one guy? What if Oz is about to betray the one guy and the guards and then they're going to get out and Makoto just fell hook, line, and sinker like he did in episode 1? Maybe I just got worked up for no reason. Maybe I'm getting as worked up as Makoto and it's all going to work out in the next episode. With this series, you just don't know. With this series, you can't tell if somebody's being sincere or if it's part of the con. And Laurent not being there, what do we do, y'all? What do we do? I want to watch the next episode, but I'm going to have to wait. That's so frustrating. I want to discuss more about it, but I'm just so on pins and needles trying to think of what else it could be. So maybe Oz maybe it's all a trick and he's going to like shoot the one guy and the guards and save them and just be like, it was a con within a con within a con. I don't know. And he just had to put the gun to Makoto's head to stop him from doing something stupid. That would check out. But, oh my God. I'm not happy with Makoto smoking and, like, him getting to the point that he is. I feel like Makoto needs to get away. I don't want Makoto to fall so deep into this that he becomes like his dad and becomes trapped in the system. I don't want that. And I want it to be that Laurent is trying to get Makoto free of all this, free from his father, free from everything. And maybe Laurent is also trying to do the same. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. This is all a lot more connected than I thought it was going to be. Like Laurent possibly being connected to Makoto's dad and thus being connected to Makoto. It's a lot more than I thought it was going into this case. I thought we were just going to find out Laurent's backstory, his relationship with Dorothy, and that was going to be it. But the fact that this is all tied together, oh, buddy. Uh-oh. Oh no. So, please no spoilers. Please no spoilers, but I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below. Oh my God. I'm so terrified of what's to come and how this is going to end. At first I thought, we're just going to have a Laurent backstory and everybody's going to do their last con and ride out into the sunset together, but this is getting a little bit extreme, a little bit heavy, and I don't know if it's going to have a happy ending. So, but we'll find out real soon. Or you guys will find out next week. I gotta wait like a week and a half to watch the next episode. So, In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of The Great Pretender.